Hey everyone, in this video I will be showing you how to implement chat history in Gemini AI API using JavaScript and Node.js. So by this way, Gemini AI API will be able to remember the past conversations. So let's get started. For this, first Google AI Studio, and you'll be having the first link aistudio.google.com. Just select it. And here to the rightmost top you will be having the documentation. Click here, and in documentation just select text generation, and here you will be having the default code. If you just scroll down over here under multi-turn conversations, here they have given us a sample code how to maintain the chat history. So basically we can just copy and run this code and later improvise it by adding Express, which helps us to create a REST endpoint. And after that I'll be showing you how you can send the prompt from Postman and hit this endpoint, and then also maintaining the chat history. So that's what we are going to do. So I'll just quickly copy this. So just change the language to JavaScript, copy this code and put it over here. And here I'm having a empty file, new.js, nothing much. And we need to add the Gemini AI API key. Go to Google AI Studio, and here we are having the get API key. Select it, and you can just add create API key. Select the project of your choice, create API key in existing project, and make sure that you don't share this key with anyone. Copy it. If you want to delete it, you can delete it from here. So you can have it in an environment variable. Since it's just demo, I'm just using it directly inside the code itself. So after this we need to install this particular npm package. Okay, just copy this. It's going to be npm I space run this. So if you're already having this, make sure that you get the latest version, in case it could throw some errors in case if they have upgraded the existing version. So also try having the latest version here. And to test this we can just run node your file name.js, which is new.js in my case. We'll just type it new.js, and it's giving me a warning, and we have got the console one and response. To leave it, just don't mind it. We will literally modify the whole code, and we can just eliminate this. As you can see, it says add type module to this particular package.json. Go here, just come outside of the dependencies, paste it, save it, and if we rerun this time we won't be having the warnings. Yeah, that's perfect. So now let's see first how we can convert this code into a API endpoint. So basically I will be hitting the path from Postman, and with the help of Express we will be create a endpoint and we will get the response. So let's see how we can do that first. So for this we will be requiring the Express npm library. So just come down, it's going to be npm I, we will be running Express. That's it. Just install this, and next we need to import this package. It's going to be import Express from Express, and next we need to create our Express variable. So it's going to be const app equal to Express, and next we need to have app.use express.json, just to denote we are sending data in the form of JSON. So it's going to be express.json with a circular bracket. Don't miss that. And next, this is fine. Here we are defining our API key. This line is fine. And next we need to create our app.post endpoint. So basically we will be hitting that path from the URL. So we need to declare that. So just come next line. It's going to be app.post, and let's just have the path as /chat, and it's going to be a async function. So let's just have it as async, and as usual it's going to be request comma response and a callback function. And now inside this we need to get the prompt. Okay, so basically from the Postman we will be sending the prompt in the body as a JSON. It will be somewhat like this. So for this we can just have a variable. So it's going to be const curly brackets, and inside this we can just have the prompt. So I'm basically destructuring the prompt like this, equals request dot body. So basically I'm getting the prompt over here. Next thing, you can just have a check. If the prompt is empty, you can just throw an error saying prompt is not found, give me an error. You can just handle that. And Next, we need to have all these code inside our app.post. Just come down, we can just like clean this. So we don't need this await main, remove it. And we also don't need this stuff, like some hard-coded stuff. We can just remove this. And here, remove the async main function also. So we can just copy the rest of this stuff, cut it, and just put it inside. And here we don't need the history. So basically we can just have the history as an empty list at first, and after that we can like implement it from scratch. So just have something like this, and everything should come inside the app.post. And now we need to send the prompt to this model. All right, so for that we are having the chat variable. So just come here, it's going to be const response equals await. So that's the reason why we are having here async, because here we are having a await function, chat, which is this variable, dot send message, and inside that open curly brackets is going to be message colon, and here you need to pass your prompt. All right, so the prompt is from here, and in the next line basically we can just send it. So it's going to be response dot json, it's going to be response colon response dot text. So this response is the key, and this response dot text is the value that we get from the model. So that's basically the code. If you want to add a try catch block to catch the errors, you can add that. And final thing is we need to start our server. So for that it's going to be app dot listen, and here we need to pass the port number. By default it's going to be 3000, and just have a arrow function and have console.log server is running. Just have a console, something like this. Yeah, this is fine. Saving it, and now we can just start it. So same command. Okay, we have got an error, unexpected identifier express. So just go to the top. I guess we need to have here double quotes. Okay, make sure that you're having here double quotes. Now rerun it. So we are getting server is running, and the path is 3000. So if I go to postman, and make sure that you are changing here to post, and have this typed out, http://localhost:3000. I am having here 3000 because that's the port number I'm specifying here, /chat, which corresponds to this path that we're having here. Next, go to body raw, select this to JSON, have a JSON structure like this, and give it a prompt. Let me just go with give me a 3-line poem on AI, something like this, and send it. So we have got the response beautifully. That's amazing. So now let's see how we can implement the chat history. So basically I'll be showing you 4 methods how to implement chat history. This is for individual chats, and after that I'll be also explaining you how to clear the chat history and also implement chat history if you have multiple users. So first let me go with the request and the response way, and before that let me also explain how this is going to work. So basically we will be having a global list. So let's call the list as chat history. Okay, so this will be a list. All right, and we will use this list inside our app.post. So every time the user is going to send a prompt and the model is going to generate a response, we will be storing this prompt as well as the response inside this chat history list. We will just append it, and the next time user sends it, we will be also like adding it in the list. By this way the list will contain all the previous prompts as well as the response from the model. And final thing is, once you are done storing the previous prompts and responses, the only thing that is left is passing it over here. We will just pass the list in the chat history because that's how the code was given earlier. This is the place we will be passing our chat history. Now every time we pass a new prompt, Gemini AI model will have the previous context in this form of the data stored in the chat history. So that's how we can maintain the previous conversations context. So I hope this made sense, and now we can just implement this. So first let's just declare our global list, which is going to store our prompts and response. So I'll just uncomment it. Let chat history be the name of the list, equals square bracket, and now we need to add the prompt as well as the response. So just come down. So we need to come here exactly the place before sending the response to the front end or postman. So exact this point here we will be using our chat history variable name. So it's going to be chat underscore history dot push. So basically we are just adding that prompt into our chat history list. So we can't like directly add it, we need to have a proper format. So basically we will be having role, parts and text. So we need to have a proper format for this. So to get that format, just go to the exact same multi-turn conversations in the documentation. Here you can see, right, in the history they are having the role, and the role is of user, and here inside that they are having the parts, inside that they are having the text, and this is going to be the user prompt. So this is going to be the standard way how we are going to do this. So I'll just copy this code and just paste it inside this push, and the role is going to be the user, because here we are sending the prompt which is user generated. So rather than having it as hello, we can just replace it with prompt, the variable that we are having here. Next thing is we need to add the response also, because this is the request, we need to add the response also. So here also we are having the example for response. As you can see, for the user generated prompt, the role is user, and for the model generated response, the role is going to be model. So we can just copy this also, and before that we can just like copy this fully and put it over here and remove this stuff. Now we need to copy it from here, copy it and just put it in. That's it. And rather than having the text hard coded, we need to pass the response dot text that we get from the model. So we're just going to put it over here. So simple stuff. Here we are adding the prompt into our chat history list, and here we are adding the response dot text. So now later we can just console log it just to see how it looks. So console.log, we just go with chat history. Yeah, and most important thing, we need to pass this chat history variable inside our history parameter. All right, so just pass it inside it. All right, so really important thing. And even after how many times we hit this post call, chat history won't be empty, because this is above the post. It will be like a global variable, it won't get reset. All right, so I'm saving it and let me just rerun it now. Okay, so I'm getting chat history is not defined. I need to have here a let. Okay, I was coding in Python a while ago. So let me also do a small change in this console.log, because this won't print the entire object, it will show as object in the console. So rather than this, I will just have this. So this will basically like print the entire structure or the data also present in that object. It will be much more visible over here. All right, so I'm saving it and I'll just run this. And if I go here, this time I'm passing a name because we need a chat history, right? And I will just send it. All right, and this is the console.log that I get. And the interesting thing is, here we have got the same thing 2 times. Okay, and the reason that I found why it is happening 2 times is because the SDK that we are using, which is the Gemini thing, it automatically adds the prompt and response also. For example, if I go here, right, I'll just comment the chat history that we have implemented. I'll just comment this. I'm just commenting the place where we are pushing, and now I'm only having this empty list, and here I'm just passing that list to the history, and I'm also like having a console log of the chat history. What we will think is, because we aren't appending the values, this will basically have a empty value, right? But that's not the case. Gemini SDK under the hood is going to automatically append the prompt as well as the response. So we can just try it out. So I'll just stop it and rerun it. So now I have commented it, right? So go here, I'll just send hi, I am John, and now we will be having only 2 elements, we won't be having 4. So as you can see, this is the first part, this is the prompt that we are sending, and next one is going to be the model, role model. This is from the model. And let me also go and add some more stuff. I am a dancer, and send. So I guess this will also add the previous chat. So this is having the first chat, this was our first chat, and here we are having the second chat also. So as you saw, right, this is the first chat, the second chat. And now let me just ask any question from the first chat. So I'll just go here and ask, what is my name? All right, and send. So it needs to give us John. Okay, yeah, it has got it spot on. So basically, in case if you want to implement the chat history, you can just have a global variable and directly assign it, and by default Gemini SDK automatically gets hold of it. But let's suppose say you have a situation where you want to like make some alterations to this request as well as response. So to do that, we can just uncomment this and go here right into the chat history, remove this, open square bracket, and inside this we need to just spread this variable. It's going to be 3 dots chat history. So by this way we are muting the copy that SDK automatically creates. So now let's just test it out if it works. So earlier when we had this code uncommented, we got like 4 elements in the list. 2 of them were auto added by the SDK and the 2 of them were added by us. So now let's see how this is going to work. So if this method works, we need to only get like only 2 elements, not 4. Okay, so run this. Yeah, this is fine. I'm sending, okay, I'll just have something. I'll just send hi and send. So as you can see here, this time I'm having the first one and I'm having the model one. So I'm not having here 4 things. Okay, so basically we are able to like override what the SDK has given. So that's amazing, and this is the first way how we can implement the chat history. But there is an issue with this way. What if the user is going to input lot of text in the input prompt, and the model is also going to like send lot of lines of response? Imagine user is going to input 20-30 lines and response is going to be also 20-30 lines. In that case, we'll be appending the whole prompt as well as the response into our chat history variable, and this will be sent to the model. So this will cost us a lot of input tokens, increasing our charges also. So to avoid sending lot of input tokens, we can follow any of the next ways that I'm going to show you. So actually the second method didn't work. So basically what that method was, so here we are appending both the user prompt as well as the model's response, right? So whenever I tried, like commenting out the model's response and only adding the user's prompt in our chat history and asked it questions, it wasn't able to like get the answers. It wasn't able to get the past conversations. So I couldn't like show that. You can just try it out, just adding the user's prompt into the chat history and try it out, and let me know in the comments if that works. So leaving that aside, let's try the next way. The first is the trimming way. Here, as I told you, what if the user sends a lot of data as an input, or the model sends a lot of data as the output? In that case, rather than storing the entire input prompt or the response text, we can basically trim and store it. So for that we will be using the slice function in JavaScript. So just go here, it's going to be prompt, the place where you are adding, and don't add this slice over here, the place where you are adding the prompt to the model. Okay, and here also add that dot slice thing over here. So you can just have it like, I would say 50 or 100 depending upon your use case. So this basically only has the first 50 characters, and anything above that it gets neglected. And another great thing is we are only adding this trimming code in our history, when the place where we are pushing the prompt as well as the response into our chat history list, but we aren't interfering with the response that the user sees. The user will be seeing the whole response, but whenever we are storing it, we are trimming it. So by this way we are able to like save some input tokens. So I'm just saving it now, and let me rerun it again, and I'll just go with same thing maybe, or let me just show both. Okay, so my name is Dave, send it, and let me just change it to what is my name, and we won't be shown the effect over here. But if I go here and type essay on global warming and send, so as you can see it has given us so many lines, but in our chat history only this will be saved, only the first 50 characters will be saved. So by this way we are like showing the user the whole response but saving it over here. And another way is max tokens method. So what this max tokens does is that rather than trimming the response that we get from Gemini AI API, we can directly reduce the response that we get. So to add that condition, so here as you see, right, the exact same thing where we got the code. If we scroll up here, as you can see, they are having this config and they are having the max output tokens. So we can just copy this, just go here, paste it, and we can just remove the temperature. So here you can define the number of tokens that the model has to generate. So by this way also we can like control it. So that's totally up to you. You can just try it out. Okay, And final way how you can reduce the number of text that's get added in the chat history is rejecting the old chat. So in this way, what we will be doing is the size of our chat history list is going to grow and grow. So after a point, the chat history list will be full and the model will be won't be able to generate the response in a right way because there will be a lot of data. So what we can do is we can just check if our chat history list has reached a certain length, let's say 50. In that case, we can just remove the first 5 or 10 elements from that chat history list, which is going to be in the starting and not the end. So if the length is going to be above 50, we will remove the first 5 or 10 chat elements in that list. So by this way, we are removing the old context and there is enough space for the new messages. So let's see how we can do this. So before the response, you can just paste this code. So this checks chat history length. If it's greater than 50, we are basically removing the first 10 elements. Of course, you can play around with these numbers based upon your use case. Now let's see how we can clear them. So for clearing them, it's so simple. Basically, we will be creating another endpoint called /clear, and we will just reinitialize the chat history, this particular list, to an empty list. That's it. So inside that particular endpoint, we will just have chat history equal to empty list again. So if we hit it, it's going to get empty. So as simple as that. So now let's try implementing it. So we can just copy this, the app.post, just come here and put it over here. So this will have the path as /clear, and inside it we can just copy the same also. Just copy this and put it over here, and we have a close bracket, and we can just have a response as cleared. That's it. It's going to be cleared. Simple. So let's try it out now. Just saving it, rerun it again, and let's just go with the same testing way how we used to do it earlier. My name is Dave. Send it, and I'll go with what is my name. Send it. Yeah, this will also work fine. Now duplicate the same thing, and no need of any body. We can just go with none, and it's going to be /clear. All right, and send it. Cleared. Now if I ask the exact same question, this won't give us the answer. Yeah, because we have just cleared the history. So these methods work fine in case if you're having a single user and your project is extremely small, you're doing it for a college or an MVP. But what if you had multiple users, let's say less than 100 users? This method won't work because here we are storing all the chat history, the prompt, the response inside a single list. So imagine you're having lots of users, all their chats will be stored inside this single variable, and there will be a mismatch. So imagine 5 users are going to send, hey, my name is Dave, John, or Dan. API model will get confused because we are having the data of 3 users. So we need to find a way how we can distinguish individual chat users chat history. So for that, what we can do is we can have a map rather than having it as a list, and we can also pass a user ID whenever the user chats. So here we will be having another parameter called as user ID. This can be number, session ID, or a UUID, anything of your choice, but this particular user ID is going to be unique for each user. So based upon this user ID, we will be creating a entry in this map. So the key will be the user ID, and that value of that key is going to be the chat history of that user. So every time we send a prompt, we will find chat history value with the help of the key. We will access it with the user ID, and then we will append it, the exact same function, but rather than defining it as a list or a individual chat history, we will have an entire map, and inside that map we will be having multiple keys of user ID, and each user ID key will have its own chat history list. I hope that made sense. So now let's see how we can implement that. So as I told you, we will be having a dictionary. So it's going to be chat history. I'll just have it as main chat history, and this isn't going to be a list. This will be a empty map or a dictionary. So now we need to add this user ID as a key to this map. So for that, what we can do is we need to get the user ID first. Okay, we are getting the prompt, we need to get the user ID also. So for that, we can literally copy this, put it over here, and we can just copy the key and put it. So now we are able to access that. Next thing, we need to add this user ID to this main chat history. We need to add this as a key to this, and the value will be an empty list. We need to basically initialize, imagining that user comes to chat for the first time. So it's going to be if condition, if this particular main chat history of user ID. So I need to pass the user ID. So if this is not there, okay, so this will be undefined. So if this particular user ID is not there, that's why I'm using the not condition. If this condition fails, I'm doing a not, which makes it true. So what we are doing here is we are initializing an empty list, empty chat history for that. So it's going to be copy this and just initialize with an empty list. So this is how it works. Imagine the user is going to chat for the first time. He sends the user ID and the prompt. We are sending the both, and it comes here. That particular user ID is not at all existing in our main chat history. In that case, we cannot be adding the list, right? Because we can't be appending it some empty thing, because it doesn't even exist in our main chat history. So for that, what we are doing is we are creating a key inside our map of that particular user ID, and we are also assigning empty list. So after this, what happens? We will be appending to this particular key. So how this is going to work is we can have another variable. Let's suppose it let individual chat history. All right, let me have it like this, and this is equal to this whole stuff. So now let's say the user again sends another prompt. This time this condition will fail because that particular user ID is already there. And after that, we are accessing that particular user ID's chat history through this. So this is going to be a list, and in this list, basically we will append our prompt as well as the response. So by this way, each individual will have their own chat history list. If they're going to be using it for the first time, we are giving it an empty list. If it's not for the first time, this condition will fail. Then we are accessing their list, and this list will have some values, and we are accessing and appending it. So now we need to do some changes. So just copy this individual chat history, just replace it wherever we have used chat history, and here also it's not going to be chat history, individual chat history here, and the JSON thing, and everywhere, literally everywhere, just replace it with this. So this works perfectly fine. So now let's see if it works. So let me just clear this and rerun it. Yeah, so I'll just go with user ID 1, and this time I'm going with my name is Dan, I am a dancer. I'm sending it. Next, what I will do is I will just go with user ID 2, and I will go with my name is John, I am a singer, and this is the console how it looks now. Yeah, 2 elements, one is the prompt as well as the response that we have got. Now I'm going with user ID 2, so it won't get added into our dance chat history because the ID is the key. I'm sending with user ID 2. I'm sending this. So if I go here, we'll be getting the console. Yeah, as you can see, it doesn't have the previous stuff because this is a separate one. And now if I go with user ID 1 and ask some questions, it will get context of that particular user. What is my name and job? Sending it. So we need to get this one. This is the first user, Dan and dancer. So Dan and dancer. Now if I go with user ID 2 and send, we need to get John and singer. So this is how their individual stuff looks now. So if I go here, yeah, 1 2 1 2, and for Dan 1 2 1 2. So that's basically it. We gave 2 prompts, so basically we are having like 4 elements for each. So by this way, we are able to distinguish individual users chat history. Final thing is we also need to implement individual users chat clearing way also. So for that, in the earlier clear method, we were just like emptying the chat history, but we cannot do that. If we do that, it will literally clear the entire chat main history itself. So every user will lose their history. So but now we need to clear it for a single individual user. So now we need to pass some request body. We need to pass the user ID over here for our clear. So basically we will be passing the user ID, we will be getting hold of that user ID here, and we will be emptying that particular user ID's chat history. So for that, I'll just copy this. Okay, go to the clear thing and go to raw, body, raw, and JSON. Okay, select this, put it over here, and remove the prompt. We won't be needing the prompt, only the user ID. Now go to the code I will literally just copy this. We are using it over here, and remove this. We don't need this anymore. Paste it. So now we have got the user ID. You can also check if the user ID is there or not, and we'll be doing the exact same thing that we did earlier. What we did earlier, if the user ID wasn't there in our main chat history, we used to like initialize it with an empty list. Exact same thing, we can just do it here also, just resetting it. Alright, that's basically it. So let's try the same. I'll just go with user ID 1. Let me just remove this. My name is Dave and I have 2 cars. Sent. And next I will go with the same stuff. User ID 2. I'll just go with my name is John. I have 100 cars. Alright, and yeah, this works fine. We have given the data for user 1 and 2. If I go with user 1, and I'll just go with tell about me. That's it. So the user 1 was Dave, I guess, and I said he has 2 cars. So Dave, and he owns 2 cars. Everything is perfect, right? So now I'll go here. I'll just give the user ID as 1 and send it. So this will clear Dave's data. So now I will go with exact same stuff and send it, because here I have passed the user ID as 1. So as you can see, okay, I'm ready to tell about you. I need some information about you. It doesn't have the data because we have just removed it for that specific user. But if I go with the user ID 2, which was John, and I guess I gave he has 100 cars, and send it, this data will still persist. So as you can see, John 100 cars. So that works perfectly fine, and this method is suitable in case if you're having like, let's say, less than 100 users. But if you have more than that, I guess you need to be like using proper database, in case if you want to get like store that chat history permanently. It can't be like storing in your server itself. You need to have a database and maintain it. But in case if you want a temporary chat that involves multiple users, I guess this method is super good and handy. So if you also have any other ways, you can comment it down. That's the video, guys. Do check the playlist of my channel. Done a lot of videos in programming and AI tools. Subscribe me. Thanks for watching.